Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out a very cool psychedelic puzzle/action game called Knockem, which is in beta right now and is currently being developed by Open Dreams Development. Now the premise in this one, very simple. We're going to be in a very psychedelic and surreal 3D space trying to hold one block up in the air by shooting it while allowing another to fall. But there's a whole bunch of obstacles and things that'll get in the way. So why don't we just jump into a game and I will try and explain a little bit better because I know it's a rather esoteric premise to begin with. So here we go, we got the controls, left mouse button fire a shot, escape to pause. I'm going to keep the red block off the ground, let the yellow block drop, and we have limited shots and our time. So let's click to continue, and we'll have a look around. So here we are in our game environment. You'll see we have a minute on the timer right now and 20 shots to fire, and I would just want to take this in for a moment. We've got a very cool rainbow kind of spectralizer music soundtrack thing going on, a visualizer I should say, and on the ground, a reflective floor with a crazy neon grid that's kind of wigging out, and we just want to kind of shoot this red rectangle up into the air a little bit. Everything's very spacey, very floaty, and I think the music actually very well reflects that feeling. Unfortunately, I don't think all the song tracks are quite as, or the soundtrack songs rather, are quite as reflective of that feeling as the first one. But still, does get the point across. So, the basic premise seems to remain constant from one level to another, in that we're always going to be holding one block up, allowing the other to fall. But like I said, there's going to be some various variables in the way, and if you'll pardon that alliteration there, in this particular case, all of the blue blocks that seem to be getting in the way, they're just going to bounce up off the ground all the time, and that's just going to provide another thing to cause the balls and the blocks to bounce off of each other and just make life a little bit more complex and complicated for us. So that's round two. So far, so good. Now we're going to introduce this pink rectangle, which is just going to bounce up and down and provide another bit of cover and cause more things to bounce off one another. Now, I do want to call into question the fact that, well, we only get so many shots, right, to hold each one of these rectangles up in the air, but I have noticed there are some pretty serious collision issues with the balls bouncing off of the cubes or the rectangles. In this case, I don't think I'm providing very good demonstration of that, but I'm sure at some point you'll see probably about 30% of the time the spheres that we're shooting seem to just go right through the red rectangle. Especially seems to be the case when we get much closer to the actual block. You'll also probably notice it seems like we can't quite get the right angle all the time. Now, I'm not sure what is exactly the proper way to do this, because I know that there are some, like, frame of view issues that can come into question, where essentially, like, you might need to actually look over the top of your head, like, basically tilt your view over and then around to the other side. And I'm not saying that that necessarily has to happen, but there are situations where there might be too many things getting in the way, like these pink blocks that are sort of zooming back and forth, and sometimes it's actually quite difficult to get a proper angle because there's so many things bouncing around. Now, in this case, we've got some static cubes that just seem to be hanging up in the air, and then one very large ball bouncing about, and that ball seems to be the only thing that's getting in our way. Now, you can kind of see what I'm getting at here, because this is as high as I can tilt my viewpoint, and if there were some pink blocks that were in my way, I might not be able to target the red block at all until I move around a little bit more. But granted, so far so good. None of these things have been actually game-breaking or very detrimental, other than the collision issues, which I will, I'm sure, demonstrate to you at some point here. It would be less of an issue if you had infinite shots to fire, but just since you can run out, I think things get to be a little bit difficult. Also do want to mention, I am playing the browser version right now. There's also a downloadable version, which you can go ahead and grab if you choose, but I have noticed for some reason it seemed a bit buggier or incomplete compared to the browser version. I'm not sure, maybe one was updated where the other wasn't. I think you just probably saw that, yeah, the ball just went straight through the cube on that one. Again, don't want to make the whole thing harping about that one particular thing, but, you know, it's a kind of a cool concept, and, oh, what are we getting here? We're actually getting advertised to try some other game now? And yeah, as it turns out, yeah, it was just advertising a different game, which, fair enough, I guess, but I kind of wanted to just see more of this one in particular. I was having a pretty good time, I just wish there were more iterations on that formula. I actually really like where this game is going. I think it could be pretty fun. I could see this definitely being something where I could spend some time with. The one thing that I was kind of wishing would change is maybe the geometry of that room that we're in. I was imagining how cool it would be if we had that vibe and that visual aesthetic going on in a whole bunch of other rooms, and maybe we ended up in a situation where the red block and the yellow block were nowhere near where you actually started, so there's actually like an exploration component combined with some cool geometry, maybe even some platforming, or trying to frame up a perfect shot to keep the block up in the air while you're not actually sure where you're supposed to go. And I imagine things could get quite chaotic with that, but I imagine also that the developer is kind of trying to play off that idea of having some chaos be involved, as well as get the whole cool spectrum rainbowy aesthetic in there as well. The reflectivity on the floor, too, really made it quite nice, and I would love to see more surfaces with that kind of thing going on. I could almost even see this manifesting as sort of like a Hall of Mirrors effect toward the end, that maybe you end up with like fake blocks that you're not sure if are real or fake because there's all this reflection stuff going on, and maybe things get very complicated when you start dealing with that sort of thing in a 3D world, because then you end up with these like recurring endless Hall of Mirror effects, which are always, I know, a huge problem. I remember seeing that back in the days when I used to do like Doom mods and stuff. I've also noticed if you sit on the title screen for too long, the game just seems to like lose that effect. So I think there's still a bunch more bugs ahead to be squashed for Open Dreams development. I'm sure they have it already pretty much worked out. Well, it seems like they're on a good start anyway, so I will wish them well, and I will say thank you for a good time playing some Knockem. If you want to go check this out, there is a link right in the description. Go play it, it's free. You can follow development and see if this turns into something even more substantial than it is already, but even as it is right now, you know, seems like a good start. So that's where I'm at with Knockem. Go give it a try. So again, links are in the description. If you want to check out some other stuff, though, I've also got my Twitter handle and stuff at RockLeeSmile in there if you want to go click on through and follow me on there so you can find out when I post new videos, or just, you know, follow along with whatever weird thing I happen to be talking about at the moment. I have also got some other links like my Facebook page, the website for this series, indie-impressions.com, and of course my Twitter, or my Twitch rather, channel, so if you want to follow me over there, I stream on occasion as well. You can find about even more new indie games on that. So, I will leave you for another day. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it. It helps me out a whole bunch, and be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day, so I hope to see you back for that. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Talk to you soon. Later.